And welcome to another round of Sports Reviews. Tonight I am reviewing Columbus Crew versus Minnesota United. Columbus won, Minnesota won. 5-3 on penalties for Minnesota United to make sure and confirm Minnesota United moves on to the MLS's back quarterfinals to face San Jose Earthquakes. The goals were scored as follows. In the 18th minute, Aha heads the ball down to Robin Lod. Robin Lod shoots it off the volley, puts it past Tarbell to make it 1-0 Minnesota. Then in the 79th minute, Jossie Zardes has a penalty. He shoots it, saved by Tyler Miller. The ball rebounds back to Zardes. Zardes puts it in basically an empty net. And it's 1-1. So it would go to penalties. The penalty shootout went like this. In the first round, both Ozzy Alonso and Fernando Adi scored their penalties for both sides. The second round, Jan Gregus and Pedro Santos scored both their penalties for both their sides. In the third round, Schoenfeld scores for Minnesota, but Chris Cadden misses for Columbus to make it 3-2. Then in the fourth round, Raheem Edwards, former TFC player, we really should have kept him, scores to make it 4-2, but Lucas Zelarayan scores for Columbus to make it 4-3 and push the pressure on to Minnesota. And Gasper scores to win it for Minnesota to make it 5-3 on penalties. Chris Gasper, the left back, scores to win it for Minnesota. So, how'd the game look? The game was good. It was very good defensively. Minnesota stayed defensively compact and tried to hit Columbus on the counter. And that is exactly what made Columbus lose. And this is exactly what I said. If Columbus had gotten through and faced San Jose, I was saying that San Jose's man-marking system would have been what would beat the Columbus Crew. They did get beat by a man-marking system just a round earlier, and on penalties. So I was right about the Columbus system. You man-mark them, you play hard defense, tight defense against them, they're going to lose to you. All you have to do to beat them is be compact defensively. Be on them like white on rice. That's all you got to do, and that's what Minnesota did. They scored one goal. They gave up a stupid penalty. That was a very bad tackle that led to the penalty. I mean, going studs up on somebody's leg, I'm surprised he didn't get red carded, but he should have. But it was still 1-1 for the rest of the match. Minnesota tried to press to get a winner, and it went to penalties, and they won it on penalties. They did what they had to do. Caleb Porter's system has been sort of exposed. Now, every team could know this is what we need to do now to win against Columbus. And that's a good thing, because if Columbus didn't get exposed, it could have turned very bad for the league. I'm not saying I don't want Columbus to win. I think Columbus is an amazing side. But it is nice to see when people's tactical setups get exposed. Because once they do, you have film on what you should be doing and what should be done to beat them. And that's a good thing, because you don't want somebody to stomp the league like that, basically being unknown. And you could say, but they weren't really that good last year. That was lots of injuries, lots of suspensions, not having the players they needed. It was a transitional year. Last year was transitional for the Columbus Crew. This year is supposed to be the year they start doing better, and they looked amazing in the tournament. And they even looked amazing in the two matches they had early on, but especially in the tournament. Lucas Zelarayan, one of the reasons. Zardes looks amazing for once in his career. The whole team looks great. Pedro Santos looks great. Abubakar Keita and Mensah, great defensive pairing. Everything about Columbus is a good team. So don't be depressed about the loss, because they fought hard, just like Minnesota fought hard. This was a good match. If you're not enticed by matches like this, fine. But for somebody who's a purist of the sport of football, the sport of soccer, you would love this. It is amazing to watch. Adrian Heath out-tacticked Caleb Porter. And that's what you saw. And that was an amazing match, watching it tactically, watching the way they played. Amazing. Amazing, amazing football. Amazing match. And Minnesota United had one bad mistake that sent it to penalties. If that mistake didn't happen, they would have won in 90 minutes. But since there's no extra time, it isn't really that bad to just go straight to penalties. But they won. They won. They did what they had to do on penalties. They seemed more ready for penalties. They seemed more belief in their head. They sounded more, they looked more, the word, like, they looked more belief. They had more belief. They looked, I don't know the word. I had a brain fart. Secure in themselves. Yes, secure in themselves. There you go. In themselves. They looked more secure. They looked like they knew what they were doing. They looked like they had the thought, and the pressure was not on them because they did not think of the pressure. Now you could say, but there was no crowd. Sure, there was no crowd. But just because there's no crowd doesn't mean that it can't still get to you. It can get to you. But they didn't let it get to them. And I'm surprised Raheem Edwards scored because, again, former TFC player, we are not the best known for penalty shootouts. So him scoring, that's good. We should have kept him. And he technically won it for Minnesota. Put him in a position to where they could win in the fifth kick. Basically sealed it. And Gasper finished it off. So, that's good for Minnesota. I'd say the tactics were amazing in this match on both sides, but especially for Minnesota. Minnesota go through deserving winners, and it's nice to see it. It's nice to see it. I think Columbus is good, but I've compared Columbus to 2015-16 Toronto FC. Early, good Toronto FC. Yeah, they're good, but they need a couple more pieces. But you could see the seeds starting to sprout, which they weren't ready to win this tournament, and people gassing them up like that out of a bad group was a bad idea, but you could see the seeds sprouting for them. I'm not saying Columbus are bad, but they're not as good as people make them out to be right now. But they will be that good within 2-3 years, because Tim Bezbatchenko will make the moves that need to be made to make that team good. I should know this firsthand. I do know this firsthand because I know what's coming your way, because he did it with Toronto. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to win a treble. You're not going to do that. But you're going to be a force like you used to be back in the early days, the Remember Your Roots days. So that's good news. Toronto versus Columbus is probably going to be the Eastern Final for like the next 7 years. That would be fun. Hopefully we win that series. But yeah, I believe in that. I seriously do. Columbus, you have good times ahead of you, and that's a good thing. So if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell all your friends. Tomorrow, I will round up, review the round of 16, and predict the quarterfinals. I'm Ryan, and I'm out. Peace.